Howdy, howdy everybody, Chris here. We're back in the garage today. Today we're laying clear coat on this Lexus. We're gonna talk all about how to spray clear coat with a glass-like finish. I'm gonna walk you through step by step that entire process from gun settings, how to mix clear, even some troubleshooting. Now last week I created a PDF file on how to lay down metallic finishes like silvers and golds, and I laid down the entire process in a PDF file so you can use that as a reference. I got a great response from you guys. We went ahead and created one for spraying clear coat. It's gonna be very detailed. It's gonna walk you through the gun settings, how to mix clear, techniques on how to spray clear, and I even left some bonus features in there about how to overcome some of the obstacles like orange peel, dry spray, solvent pops. This is a great quick reference guide to help you get the best paint job possible. You can find that on my Shopify store. The cost is very low, $1.99, just goes to help support the channel. So if you want to check that out, garagenoisegear.com. I'll leave a link down below. Let's get busy and squirt some clear. Last week we laid down this base nice and silky smooth, so we're ready for some clear coat. We're gonna go ahead and tack rag this off, which is just a sticky cloth that we're gonna wipe over this entire surface and remove any dust particles that have landed on this surface so we get a nice clean clear coat. Let me tell you a secret. Clear coat is not difficult to spray. Once you understand the process, you're going to be able to lay out clear like glass. It's the most rewarding part of painting a vehicle and definitely my favorite. I don't want you to be intimidated by it. Follow these steps in this process and you're going to be really proud of your paint job. So the clear we're going to be using today is a Sherwin-Williams FC710. That's a spot panel clear. Now we're not using an overall clear because we're not painting this entire vehicle. We're just spot painting the front end, the fenders, the hood, and the bumper cover. So the FC710 is a little bit of a quicker drying clear. It is a 4-to-1 clear, so that's 4 parts clear coat, 1 part activator. So basically you just you get your mixing cup here, and I'm using a disposable cup system here. It'll have a 4-to-1 mixing ratio on the bottom of this cup. We're gonna add the amount of clear that we want in the 4 column, and then we'll go to the 1 column and we'll add the matching activator, and that'll give us our 4-to-1 mixing ratio. I have a video dedicated just to mixing clear coat, and you can check that out on my channel. I do get some questions about reducing your clear coat, and some painters like to reduce their clear coat about 10%. So what they add is a little bit of urethane reducer to thin that clear out a little bit, make it a little bit easier to spray and a little bit easier to flow out so they get a really glass-like finish. I don't really like to do that. I have done it before, but I really don't like to do that unless it's a really hot day and I need a little bit of extra flow. Sometimes I will reduce it 10%, but you always want to check your technical data sheet on the product you're using and make sure that's something that's okay to do. The clear coat gun we're using today is the Sagola 4600 clear gun. It is a high-end gun. It's not something you need if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, I would recommend one of the budget guns that I have on my channel. I like the InoKraft Drizzle D1. That's a low volume, low pressure paint gun, which works really well for beginners and professionals. Consumes less air, it produces less overspray, and it saves you in materials. On the PDF, I gave you the gun settings for the low volume, low pressure paint gun, which is probably the gun that most of you are going to use. This gun here, the gun settings, we're going to open this fluid volume up all the way. I don't typically spray with wide open fluid volume, but on this particular gun, it performs really well at wide open. To adjust the gun wide open, before you put clear in it, you pull the trigger, you open up the knob to wide open, and then you would start dialing it back until you feel pressure on that trigger. Once you feel pressure, that gun is set at wide open. So we're going to have a wide open fan pattern as well. I may narrow the fan pattern back just a 1/4 of a turn just to clean up the edges of that fan. And then the air pressure we're using with this gun is at 28 PSI. Now, all these gun settings that I give you are just guidelines. These gun settings are just a guide. They're going to get you in the ballpark and give you a good finish, but you're going to want to adjust those as you gain more experience and develop your own style of painting. You definitely want to play with those gun settings and experiment with how the fluid volume and the air pressure affect the atomization. You want small droplets of clear, a fine atomization. If you're getting too much material out of your gun, you're going to have too large of droplets, and that creates orange peel. If you have too fine of a spray or over atomize your clear coat, then you're going to get dry spray. You need to understand how those things work together to get the perfect atomization of your clear. Also, speed and distance definitely greatly affect that as well, because the closer you are to the panel, the more material you're getting on the panel, the farther away, the drier that clear coat is when it hits the panel. Before you start spraying, you want to make sure you have a clean fan pattern. So do a test spray out. Make sure that your cap has no debris in it and you have a uniform fan before you start spraying. Now your spraying distance should be about 5 to 7 inches away. Again, this is just a guide. Sometimes I'm spraying 4 inches away if it's really hot. Other times I'm spraying a little farther away. So you want to make sure your air cap has been checked. I like to hold it up to the light and make sure those passages are clean and I have no debris in there that's going to affect that spray pattern. To get proper atomization, we start with the fluid volume. Just remember, too much fluid volume can cause heavy buildup and runs, while too little can cause dry spray. Adjust fluid volume to achieve a balance, a fine mist. Now with your air pressure, insufficient air pressure results in large droplets and an uneven finish. Increasing that air pressure is going to help create finer atomization. A wide fan pattern promotes consistent atomization. If the fan is too narrow, the clear may go on too heavy in one area. So you need to adjust your speed and your distance for proper atomization. So your spray distance should range from 5 to 7 inches from the panel to maintain that proper atomization. So spraying too close can lead to excessive buildup, while spraying too far can cause that dry spray. As far as your gun speed, you want to move at a steady, comfortable pace. If you move too fast, you may not get a full, even coverage. If you're moving too slow, that can result in excessive film buildup, leading to runs or a heaviness in your clear coat. Just watch how your clear coat lays down. A proper spray should create an even wet appearance without excessive texture or dry areas. As we lay down this first coat of clear on this hood, let's talk about some gun spraying techniques. So you want to overlap each pass by about 75% for full coverage and even distribution of that clear coat. So that means when I make a pass, I'm going to overlap that previous pass about 75%. The other thing I like to teach is you want to keep your gun parallel to the panel. So what I'm trying to say is, so picture two horizons on top of each other. The edge of your fan pattern is one horizon. The hood panel is the second horizon. Those two horizons should be parallel with each other. You don't want any tilting in that horizon that puts excessive clear coat on one area. You want it to be an even distribution. As you're starting out, you want to make sure the edge, the imaginary line on the edge of that fan is hitting that hood evenly. Typically on my first coat of clear, I want it to be medium wet. I'm not looking for perfection on the first coat because we are putting a second coat on, and that is when we're going to really slick it out and try and make it look the best we possibly can. Now on this particular Lexus, you're going to see I'm spraying a little bit slower actually, because I want to put more material on that first coat than I normally do, because I really want this hood to flow out flat. But for the first coat, you're really just trying to introduce that clear to the surface to get a good foundation for your second coat of clear. So after we finish up this first coat of clear, we're going to allow this clear coat to flash off for 10 to 15 minutes before we start applying our second coat of clear. We need to give this time to start to cure and the chemicals to start to evaporate out of the surface. So when we spray our second coat of clear, we don't trap any of those fumes. If we trap those fumes, that's going to create an issue called solvent pop, and that's where you have little bubbles in the surface of your clear coats. So it's important to give your clear coat the proper amount of flash time before you apply your second coat. And that's going to range from 10 to 15 minutes. It could be a lot shorter period of time if you're in a real hot temperature or you're spraying on a hot day. It may start to cure in 5 minutes. It's 10 to 15 minutes from the time you start laying that clear coat. So if I start clearing a fender, I work my way across the hood, the other fender, the bumper cover. By the time I'm done, that first fender is probably ready for some more clear coat. Always check your technical data sheets for the amount of flash time you need to give the clear coat you're spraying. And if your temperature is extremely hot or cold and you're unsure of the flash time, then what you can do is you can test it by touching the paper or whatever you're clearing. If it's sticky and just tacky, then it's probably ready for some clear coat. If it's stringy or it's wet, then it's not ready quite yet. Your second coat of clear should be a full wet coat. So we're laying down our second coat here. We're going to apply a full wet coat, slightly slower than the first coat. That's going to give us optimal flow out and gloss. We're going to watch for runs. We're going to adjust our speed and distance. We're going to adjust our speed and distance if necessary, and we'll keep a consistent rhythm to avoid that dry spray. You want to follow that wet edge of clear. So we're going to start on one end of this bumper, we're going to work our way to the other end, and we're going to follow that wet edge of clear so we get a consistent clear coat finish. One other thing I want to mention on flash times, it's not just okay to wait a little bit longer to put your second coat on. You want to remain in the manufacturer's recommended period of time of recoating clear coat. If you wait too long, that can also cause issues. That can lead to dieback, which is a loss of gloss, so it seems a little dull. So if you wait too long before you put on that second coat of clear, just to be safe, you could get a diminished finish in your clear coat. And everybody wants the best looking clear coat possible, so stay within that flash time window for the best results. Let's finish up this last coat and then we'll take a look at the finished product. Okay, let's take a look at this clear coat finish. And this Lexus is looking beautiful. The bumper flowed out beautifully. We have a nice high gloss finish. It's nice and smooth, right amount of peel. We got a few minor particles of dust, but that's okay. We're spraying in an open garage. We can wet sand and buff those out. Fender, the hood look fantastic. This Sagola gun sprays fantastic, but you can get these results with any gun. Even a cheap, inexpensive gun can produce finish like this. High-end guns are built a little bit better. All of these guns can produce a beautiful looking finish like this. You just got to follow the steps and the process. Follow the techniques that I laid out in this video. All the materials and tools I used in this video, I'm going to leave a link in the description. And if you're interested in picking up that PDF file, you can find it on garagenoisegear.com. You guys can spray clear coat like this. You can get amazing results. Just follow the process. Couple minor imperfections in this clear coat, but we're going to take care of those. And if you want to learn how to take care of those by wet sanding and buffing, click on this video now. Listen, I appreciate all your support. Trying to hit 100K subscribers, so help me out by clicking that subscribe button and liking this video. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next episode of Garage Noise.